in life, and when it happened, then how has life been from that particular point, maybe to today? How has it been like walking this journey?
Yeah, it was very difficult. I was born in Samburu. Mm, I'm sure you know Samburu people. We live like Maasai. Uh, where the tribe don't know exactly how to handle people with disability. They didn't believe every child with disability is a curse. That time it was that time when I was born, it was just obvious. Like every child with disability is supposed to be killed because it's about hormones, and even he could bring about hormones in the family. So every child who was born with disability, the community just sit down and talk how they can kill this child. So they can kill them through many ways. They can give them, tobacco is a poison when you soak it and give the child, or you can leave the child and then you can move from that place to another place and the wild animals can eat the child, or you can put the child where the wali ng'ombe zinakuanga, zinakanyanga, mtoto anakufa. So many children were killed that time when I was growing up. So when they see that I have a disability, because my disability, I was born with a disability. So when my parents see that I have a disability, now they are admitting in my family to, because they cannot sit, they can live, not live with me because of my disability. So my grandfather had 4 wives. So they just planned it that they're going to kill me. But my mom didn't know about their plan. So they soaked tobacco for 2 days. And you know the tobacco, when you soak tobacco is what people eat always, and then they wase wanakula wanatupa mate. But they huwa wamesi mate wakikula. Ukienda kwa ushago maybe nyinyi hamjui, but huko villages watu wanakula tobacco kwa mdomo wanatupa mate. But hiyo mate ni ukikunywa I think inaweza kushock. So I don't really know exactly how it works, but wakipewa mtoto akiwa mdogo ina shock, mtoto anakufa. So they soaked tobacco for 2 days, and then I don't know, and then there's a confusion. They thought I need pewa, amasiku pewa. I don't know who was supposed to give me the tobacco. So one of my home and asked my mom, Fransisca is still alive? You know, this child is still alive? They're supposed to be given tobacco yesterday. So I think there's a confusion. So my mom was like, they want to give you the tobacco? Yes, because we need your child. You know, we cannot live with this child and blah, blah, blah. So my mom, when they learned that, she ran away with me to his home place. That time, you don't have a say. You know, as a woman, when you got married, you just need to stay where you are, where you got married. You're not supposed to come to your family again. So they told my mom to go back where you got married. And my mom was so stressed up, so discouraged. She just found herself Italy, and then she told her about this child is going to be killed. And so the prince came to our village and talked to the people and said, don't kill this child, trying to have meeting with the people, and I survived. In my growing up, surviving, it was really difficult because now I just growing up, had disability. I had disability called spina bifida. Spina bifida is a disability that you can...
Sorry, Fransisca.
Yes.
You were able to survive at that age, tender age, because of the missionary who rescued you.
Yes.
Then how was your experience then living with your family, with the community, and even the church, now that you survived?
It was really difficult because you are not loved. You're not like any other child. You know, you are not to be included in activity in the church or even in playing like any other child. You don't have friends. So you find yourself always alone. Your parents arguing because of you. Sure, your dad don't want you to leave and your mom wants you to leave. And so there's argument between my family and there's separation somehow. Even they're just still in the one house, but every time they quarrel, they fight. And just you know that when your dad say that this child, a useless child, you know, you feel bad. So that time I feel bad and I was so discouraged, and I wish that time when my grandmother wanted to kill me, I wish like that time I don't want to live. I wish I was dead that when I was young. So I was so discouraged. I was so desperate rejection, all those things come to my mind. And in school, nobody want to play with me in school. I was only lonely, playing alone. I don't want to, I could like to go and have activity in school, like choir, playing, like, but they don't want to play with me. So that make me feel lonely, sad, walking alone. Yeah, so until when I was just at age like 14 years or 13 years, I got depressed and I started to have suicidal thoughts. How can I kill myself? Because I don't want to live. I tried twice, but just God gave me a life to live. I didn't die, but I thank God for that.
Maybe you can tell us, and I know this is difficult for you, Fransisca, how did you try to kill yourself?
You know, I was so depressed. I was just sitting down and think, can I go to where just kuingia ndani ya maji, and then drown in the water? But now in Samburu, there's no lake, karibu na kwetu. And then I think, can I just go to hang myself in the tree? I had a problem in my leg, I cannot climb the tree. So I decided to take all the dawas in the home. You know, every dawa, kila dawa iko kwa nyumba, ninachukua, ninakunywa. Ninajikuta I'm fainting, but niko tu naishi. So I was trying to look for death. But I thank God I didn't die that time.
Thank you so much, Fransisca. How did you, by that particular time, you didn't have Christ in you. So how did you find Christ? How did you get to church? And how did you get to interact with the church thereafter?
I used to go to church, but I was lonely in the church. Because in the church, nobody talked to me. I would like to play like kayamba. That time we didn't have the instrument, but you know, we used to have kayamba and those things. I wanted to play. I wanted to be like my sisters, but I cannot be able to go up there. So I was just beyond the church, alone. After church, I walk alone. I come alone. Nobody talks to me so much. So unless mtu niambie unaendelea aje, wanakaa kando. So I felt lonely in the church. And I decided I stopped going to church because I didn't see any meaning for me to be in the church. So I was just alone. On Sunday, I sit down at my home, chini ya miti, siendi kanisa. Until, you know, that time, kulikuwa na pastors going around and preach. You know, going to the house, door to door, doing evangelism. So when the pastors come to my home and say, when the pastor came and say, ujuane na Yesu, Yesu anakupenda, uokoke. This pastor ajui what I'm going through, ajui my life story, and just come and tell me about salvation, about God. Mungu ambayo, that God ambayo hanipendi. For me, I thought Mungu hanipendi. Why did he made me the way I am? All those problems I'm going through with my family, in the church, in school. So, and then pastor came to my home and telling me about Jesus. And I told the pastor, go, I don't want to hear anything about God. Pastor kaenda mara ya pili, and then I disappear, kurudi tena. So I didn't want to hear anything about God. Until one new pastor came to our hometown, to our home village, and then that pastor came, and I didn't know he's a pastor. One time he came and sit down and tried to tell me, how are you? What's your name? And want to know more about me. Kwa nini uko peke yako? Ninampea story. And then I ended siku ya pili. Then the second day anakuja ananiambia, how are you, Fransisca? You said you're Fransisca. Can I give you music to listen? And he came in another way. So now I'm becoming a friend with that pastor. He told me I'm a pastor in another church. And I try now to look forward to see that pastor. Because he came and sit down with me. He didn't care. Because I had a problem, you know, my spina bifida, the problem with my bladder, my problem with bowel, my legs, you know, I had a pressure sores in my leg. So he didn't even care about my smell. I didn't have a cloth, but he was just sitting down and listening to me. And then when he told me about God, I was soft. Because I saw Jesus in this pastor. Now because he came and sat down with me, listen to what I'm going through. And I decided to follow him. He said, can I come to church? I said, yes. I decided to change the church. I went to another church. My family got another church, and I decided to go to this church who was really welcoming to me. So when I went to church, he made sure I was on the front of the church. And he introduced me to the church members and even to his children. So I gave my life to Christ, and my life changed. Jesus just gave me a new revelation in me, a new
Wow,
thing
wow, wow. Let's appreciate that second pastor who led Fransisca into accepting Christ. Maybe, Fransisca, you can help us to understand how was your experience at school on a wheelchair?
in me. Yeah, my experience. That
And
time,
maybe you can also tell us the challenges of having spina bifida,
Yeah.
and especially as a student.
Yeah, in school, we're supposed to be in school at 8, and it's a walking distance. Na huko nyumbani kwetu kuna wanyama, kuna ndovu in the way, so I need to wake up mimi si mtu wa kupenda kuchelewa, so nilikuwa naamka mapema, natembea. That time natembea na crutches. That time nilikuwa mdogo, nilikuwa natembea na bakora. I walked distance kufika nyumba huko, because I had a problem with my bladder. Before nifike the class, I am wet. Nifika huko niko kwa class peke yangu, siwezi enda parade assembly. Niko tu kwa darasa. Mara nikikia darasa ninakaa nje kuota jua ndio mguu ikauke. Walimu, they don't understand my disability, they don't understand what I'm going through. Watoto hawa understand. Hakuna kitu nafanya kwa kanisa. Any activity in the church, in the school, I cannot do. So after around 3, people go for the games and all those things, I go home. So I don't do any games, anything, any activity in the school, or drama, music. So just class after class, I go home. In the bathrooms, it's not friendly for me. So I used to, nikikaa chini, inabidi nishike na mikono. At that time, toilet ni zile za chini, probably hata mjui kwa mchanga, ni shimo. So wakati watoto wanakojelea juu, wanaendea choo juu, so hawezi kuweza kukua stable squat chini. So inabidi nishike chini, tena nioshe mkono. So ilikuwa very hard for me to be in school, but nilikuwa nangangana because nilikuwa napenda masomo. In other time nika stop masomo when I was in grade 7, that's class 7. When I finished class 8, my parents didn't see meaning for me to be in school. But later on in life, I took myself to school. I finished school. I went to college. I did counseling, psychology. But I took myself there. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Let's appreciate Fransisca. What she didn't tell us is that God opened a door for her all the way from Samburu. Through a missionary doctor, she was taken to Kijabi, where she was treated. And among the people that treated Fransisca, one of them is seated in our midst. When they were introduced, we were told that they are a couple. Now you can maybe tell us your walk in Kijabi and how you met your lovely husband and how your life has been from that particular time. I can already see you are smiling when I mentioned that one.
Yeah. So just in short, when I was in Kijabe, already my leg was very bad. Now the doctor said, I'm going to amputate your leg, and you're going to have artificial leg. That time I was so stressed, but I remember the word of God because I have Jesus in me. I remember reading one of the pastor in Kijabe. I came to Kijabe and I met the people who love the Lord, people who are different. I didn't even want to go home again. When I was in Kijabe in the hospital, I remember reading one of the pastors reading for me the book of Isaiah 41, verse 10. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will uphold you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. So the Lord said that I will be with you, no matter what you are going through. So when I went there to the hospital, another pastor again read for me the book of Jeremiah 29, verse 11. Say, for I know the plan I have for you. Plan to prosper and not to harm, plan to give you hope in the future. So I really didn't know that, but the pastor told me, the missionary, just memorize this verse every morning when you wake up. So when I was admitted, the doctor said that I'm going to be amputated, and then I was stressed, and then I remember the verses, for I know the plan I have for you. In short, because my life is strong, my life is a long story, but cutting the story short, I was given the visual leg, I was starting to walk again, and I was trained about how to manage my bladder, and I'm now dry. I'm confident. I know about how, because when they told me about my disability and how to manage, because you cannot change. I cannot walk like any other person. I cannot be like any other girl, but I can manage myself the way I am. And then God changed me through the doctors who are there in Kijabe. So one day when I was just in Kijabe, and then they gave me a job that to take care for the children in the hospital. So when I was in there, so they told me to go to medical training college to talk about the disability. So that's one time I was 20 years. So when I went to medical training college, I was just talking the way I'm talking now about my disability, about the history, and then the medic were there, all medic were there listening to me and the doctors. And then one of them was my husband that time when he was a student. And then he came to Kijabe for attachment. You know, growing up as a teenager, first you don't have a friends, you don't have a boyfriend, you don't have all. And then one day somebody told you that I love you. It was really scary for me. The first time I told my friends about that, and we dated anyway. It took a lot for me because I know maybe ataniacha, maybe ananichezea. But we dated for 3 years. 3 years, the first year, you know, my in-laws, when you have disability, my friend, hakuna mtu anaanza kutaka uolewe. So when my husband introduced me to his parent, Pastor Kirago was there, was mediator between us and the parents. He was still standing with us that time. So when they talk about, I'm going to get married to this lady, I went to their home with my friends. And then akisema, ni huyu ndio rafiki yangu. Hey, I'm sure the parents walistuka. Walistuka na hawakutaka hiyo mchezo, walimwambia tafuta msichana mwingine. Ule mmoja anatembea, mwenye atalima, mwenye atafanya kazi ABCD. So they said that give me, you know, they said that we need to be given 1 year to think about it, 2 years. After 3 years, we decided to get married. So first I want to introduce him to, maybe you can talk and say about your name.
Let's appreciate that man is in the room. I wonder how many of the young men in the room would go for a young lady who is beautiful in a wheelchair for a wife. Do we have them? No, musijibu. Now we have a practical example with us here. Mr. Peter Kibe, who is the husband to Fransisca. Let's give him a round of applause. Mr. Kibe, ulizunguka dunia mzima ukaona huyu. Tuambie ni nini hii ilikuvutia kwa Fransisca while she was on a wheelchair?
Okay. Yes, nilizunguka nikapanda milima na sikupata mwingine. So as Fransisca has said, when we were getting married, when we were dating, it was not easy because just as she has said, she came. Of course, when you are dating, there is also that part where you want the guy to meet your family or the girl to come and see your family. So we did that. So when they came, my parents were scared. They thought, hey, this guy, this young man, he's in college. I was actually here at KMTC Nairobi, and they told me, at school, you mean there are no other girls who are walking properly? For them, they thought that Fransisca, since at that time she wasn't using a wheelchair, she was using a pair of crutches, and of course, it is not easy. And I sometimes you always understand their thinking, because in our family we have no one, my siblings, all of us, we walk normally. Nobody has a disability. So they were worried. Now you are bringing in a person to a family, a girl who is disabled. I come from, mi natoka Mulimani, yeye ni wa Saburu, mi ni wa Mulima. So in our place, of course, when you come from Central, there is kufanya kazi kwa shamba, picking coffee, packing tea. That is what we do. So they told me, this girl, she cannot be able to go to the farm. She can't do farming. She can't even take care of the cows. So that's why it took all that long, 3 years of dating. And they were actually they tried a trick on us because that first time that I introduced Fransisca, they were indifferent. They didn't want that. Then a time came when we wanted to get married, when now we thought this is the time we start involving our families completely. Of course, there is the way of the culture, families visiting one another, paying of dowry. So when that time came, my parents said no. My dad said no, I don't want to see this girl. You can't get married to her. So we thought it is wise that we bring in the pastors. And Reverend Kirago was one of the pastors. Reverend Kirago was working with Fransisca at Kijabe. So we involved them, and they told us, we'll come over to your house or to your home and talk to your parents. So they came. And they tried to tell my parents that Fransisca is an independent girl. She's employed. She lives alone. She's independent. Maybe she cannot go to the land, to the farm to do farming, digging, but she can employ somebody to do those jobs which physically are not possible for her. So my parents said, no, this one, no, we can't allow this. But by the end of the day, they used a trick. They said, what we will do, you need to give us time to think about this, because this is unimaginable to our family. We are never ready for this young man to get married to a person with a disability. So they told them, go and give us time to think about it, and you come next year, a time like this. So a whole year of waiting. And we gave them time. And then when it was 1 year, when 1 year was over, wachungaji wakarudi tena to come and get the answer. And then when they came back, the answer was, we are not decided. Give us another 1 year for us to think about it. And at that particular time, at that point, we realized, hai, tunachezewa hapa mchezo. So we said, as they wait, or as we give them time to think, we also go ahead and do our plan. We have to do our wedding. Because we were actually, with us, we said, we have the pastors. Some of my brothers were for us. Others were against us. So we said we'll go with those who are for us, and we'll go with the church. So we went ahead with the plans. And until the day of the wedding, that's when they changed their mind. During the planning of the wedding, they didn't participate. They were actually so unhappy with me. But at the last day of the wedding, that's when they came. I think walikuja shingo upande, hawakutaka. But now wakaona, this is a big shame. What do we say? The son is getting married when the parents are not there. And they came. And then walikuja wakiwa sasa, they can't sit where wazazi wako wanakaa huko nyuma. The wedding continued. We did our wedding. It was a beautiful wedding in Kijabe. And then after that, life continued. Of course, it was never very easy, but we had to fight. We had to be strong. Let me say we had to be strong because there was no fight, but we had to be firm with our decision. I never stood and spoke any rude words to my parents. I never did that. But of course, I knew what I wanted. I knew Fransisca is just like any other girl. But of course, she's special. That's why I loved her. I knew you can see the physical, but what is in her heart, her person, that is what is important. And above everything, she's a person who loves God. She has been a mentor for many years. She had been serving as a mentor at Kijabe. So everything about her for me, it was her, let me say 99%. So that's why I loved her. That's why I chose her. That's why I stood for her. So that one, actually for me, I say it was a barrier, but with God we were able to overcome it.
Wow, yes. Wow. Can we appreciate them? Does it sound like it's so easy to be in Peter's shoes? Church? Is it easy? Have they been trotting on such an easy journey? Even making that decision, you hear, Peter was rejected even by his family for introducing Fransisca as his fiancée. In fact, I remember they said it's either maybe he's out of his mind or maybe he started taking some other things. Nobody could believe it. They were actually calling him Daktari. So they waited for him for a long time to bring to them very beautiful Kikuyu girl, maybe Shiro or Shiko. But then Peter brings home Najibu, a Maasai who is on a wheelchair. You think it was easy? And the last statement that Peter has made is the parting shot that I would like us to leave you with. That a person with a disability is a masterpiece of God. As in, God planned and designed for that person to be born the way they are is original. And it is complete. Just like you are born the way you are born, I was born the way I was born. Fransisca, as she was born as a child, was complete in terms of God's design. God intended her to be born that way. And thank God for Peter. It was revealed to him, as you can hear him say, others were seeing the physical. But for him, he saw the person who was complete. I think in the interest of time, we'll have to end there. Niseme Bwana wabariki sana. I'm sure you may have wanted to ask questions. But unfortunately, that's all that we could be able to achieve with this session. Bwana wabariki sana. I'm sure we'll be guided. We have given some 2 questions that will guide our discussions from here. Our cultures dictate to us how we should perceive disabilities, but there is the word of God, on the other hand, that guides us. So it's us to choose whether to go with our cultures, with our socialization, with our modernity, or with the word of God. May the good Lord bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Let's clap for them once more.